260 days. Hours upon hours of blood, sweat, tears, and programming. All leading up to this moment. And now, it's finally here. Ground Branch's 1032 update has finally come. After such a long wait for the community, that moment is here. And with it are coming loads of new changes and features that truly do make this game look and feel fantastic. Let's go through the complete list of changes here, and I'll show you everything that I can with these new features. And I 100% will not get everything on here because this update is so chunky. It's got a bunch of little tweaks and changes, but for the most part, I'll be showing off all the important things. So if you dig first-person shooters, especially these indie titles, hit that subscribe button to tag along. My goal this year is to get that silver play button, so feel free to give me a little nudge toward that 100,000. Alright gamers, in case you haven't heard of Ground Branch before, it's an indie first-person shooter that strives to provide the most realistic experience on small to medium-sized maps with enemy AI and some multiplayer PvP capabilities. I'll talk about some of those things toward the end here because that's where this game really lacks a bit, but I feel right now, finally, with this update, the game has a solid base to build upon to implement more features like that. Okay, so onto the update, what's coming. The first thing that has to be shown here is the animations. Prior to these updates, the animations left a lot to be desired. To put it in the most eloquent terms, they were heckin' ugly. But now, these reload animations and weapon manipulations look so much better. The game has a really cool mechanic where you can raise the weapon into high ready and low ready, and this works in tandem with the arm fatigue mechanic. And so now, this looks so much nicer on the screen. The transitions especially are enjoyable. Along with these animations come some new sounds and weapon models. A key feature in Ground Branch is its immense customization, and one of these customizable features are the different magazines you can use. Both metal and plastic mags will have their own unique sounds when it comes to reloading. I know that may be a very subtle change, but it's just the little changes like that that can bring immense immersion. To complement these sounds and the new weapon sounds in general, the ambient sounds of the weapons have been upgraded. You can now hear the echoing in the environment. If you're outdoors, you're going to hear it around the map. If you're indoors, it's going to be around the walls, but it's really, really satisfying. In general though, all these new weapon sounds are so much better, not just because of the reverb, but because the better, beefier sounds. They feel like they actually pack a punch, so I'm really, really enjoying that feature. Speaking of packing a punch though, the recoil system has been reworked. No more bland recoil patterns like you see on the screen here. Now there's a lot more randomness to the recoil patterns, and honestly, they're beautiful. It's going to add another level of difficulty because the weapon is going to be going all over the place, but that's the charm. Visually, the game has gotten an upgrade, including player models and loads of new cosmetics, which is pretty great because I look like a dork in real life. I don't want to be looking like a dork in these video games as well. But another thing to note is that the environments seem to have been really refined as well. It seems like the foliage and the other environmental models look really, really nice. And with these updated visuals are also coming 2 new maps. A big oil rig map where you most certainly will not survive because of all the levels and the corners. There's going to be a lot going on here, and this map, as far as playable area is concerned, is gigantic. It may not be the broadest, but with all the levels, it's a ton to go through. And especially with those last few terrorists, it's going to be incredibly difficult to find them. And then there's this map here added, and it's actually modeled from the compound that Bin Laden had been gotten back in the day. I'm not sorry about that joke, but it's a great map with some really open fields, and then the interiors are super tight, like some of those skinny jeans that y'all are wearing. How do you wear those things, dudes? Maybe I've just got too much raw power in my thighs to wear those, but the point is, these are some tight buildings. Anyway, overall some great new maps. Moving on to a few gameplay changes. Because this game offers such a limited HUD, it's hard to know what sort of resources are available in your pouch, especially in the middle of a firefight. So in real life, you could take the mags out and feel the weight of each magazine just to get a relative idea of how much ammo you've got left. You can't really do that in video games. There's no tactile input like that, so you've got to have another feature. And so they've added this check ammo feature. You've got nearly full, half full or half empty if you're a pessimist, nearly empty, and empty. So now there's just a little bit more input there, which is nice. You can also see in the bottom right screen here, you've got another symbol that shows which stance your character is positioned in. So that's going to give some visual input to that as well. And last but not least, a different smoke effect for smoke grenades. Now, there are obviously loads and loads more that I've probably missed, but I really wanted to give just a general overview here so you know what kind of experience you'll be having. Now, in the near future, there are going to be some great things coming, such as some interactive foliage. We'll finally be getting a prone stance. There's going to be a health system added, and then there's going to be some weapon bracing and support systems. But pretty much anything you can think of is going to come to this game when it comes to realistic breach and clear types of games. So what you think of is what you can expect. Now, after all this brings me to the biggest problem that I have with the game, because as enjoyable of a game as this is now and the systems that they've integrated into this new build, it's still going to have a problem with player retention. Now, in general, that's just an issue when you're developing an early access indie title, but Ground Branch has a lot of, well, I guess we'll just call them issues for lack of a better term, when it comes to the promotion and general appeal of this game. The game is built for a very niche community at the moment, and when this very niche community has played the same thing over and over and over again, the player numbers are always going to drop, even with the dedicated community that Ground Branch has. But I think one of the biggest problems is that as of now, there's no real multiplayer system, though you can find some PvP sessions on the server browsers, but it's just not super active and it's highly locational. For me personally, I primarily play this game as a co-op and solo experience against AI, so that part doesn't matter as much to me, but for some it does. On the other hand, as a solo and co-op player, the same maps can get old. This presents a real problem for the game with player retention. Neither PvP nor PvE are going to stick around long. And this isn't me bashing the game, don't take it that way. It's just merely a cause and effect statement. So while these other things that I mentioned are going to be implemented soon in the future, and you can check their roadmap, I'll link that down below, and they've got the expectation that these updates are going to come much, much quicker now that this update is here, the same thing is still going to happen. An update, a boost in players, and then a drop until the next one. So personally, this is just my opinion on where I would take the game. To make the game great after a foundational update such as this, they should really open this game up to more modding tools and let the community design their own maps. Right now, I know that modding is available. There is a quad nod mod that I'm going to look into here soon, but I don't know to what extent. And it's not just a click and download system within the game, which would make it easier on a lot of people. Honestly, I think very few people want to have to fiddle with game files in order to get something they want, so a modding system like this isn't very intuitive. I think if they're able to implement it somehow into the game, that's going to be much better. It's going to be much easier and much healthier for the game in general, because with modded maps, there's endless replayability. But that's just my overall analysis of the state of this game after the update. I personally love this game. I think it's loads of fun. I think it's beautiful. I think it's realistic. It can make me very angry when I don't get the gameplay footage I'm hoping to get, but I think that it's a good game for the right people. It may not be for everyone. So take everything that I've said here with the bias of I like hardcore tactical shooters. What do you guys think though? You digging the new update? You like the spicy content they've added? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. That pretty much ends this one. Enjoy the new update. Until the next one, be bold, be courageous, stay tactical.